Hello, good afternoon. My name is Marco. I'm happy to give you a brief introduction in quality activated carbon. Why should we use Swisspro carbon? Swisspro carbon is used as the second filter in a three-stage filtration system. So we are going to address this brief introduction to the second filter. Activated carbon cartridges are a typical part of a water filtration system. So most of the brands carry it. Why? It's a natural adsorption media. It does mainly address harmful chemicals such as chlorine or pesticides. It improves taste and smell. This is the key focus on activated carbon. Now, what we are going to look right now is the difference between the two most typical carbon cartridges. One is a granular, it's the more conventional one, and one is an extruded or solid block carbon. What are the differences? Let's start with the granular one. I show to you here a bit of granular carbon. You see this is a loose, is a kind of a granulate powder. So it's loose, fit into a cartridge. It requires more contact time. The filtration, the adsorption process is less consistent, so it's inconsistent. It's quite easy to manufacture. It's no big manufacturing process behind it, so quite inexpensive, cheap. And the big disadvantage that the granular carbon has is that because it's a loose material, it does typically form channels. These channels are showing water in the cartridge. So the water coming from out of the filter, ideally we would have an equal distribution of the water flowing through all the parts of the filter. However, with granulate, the water forms its own channels and always uses the same channels. So unless you would constantly shake the filter and redistribute the carbon particles, the granulars, there are parts which actually are not even properly used. That's a big disadvantage. Now let's see what is the advantage of an extruded solid block carbon. This is an example of a solid or an extruded block carbon. Here it's only carbon. Here you see it in combination with ceramic. So the key advantage is it's highly compressed. It's 7 to 19 times more compressed than loose carbon. So it has a much bigger capacity. The exposure of the water to the carbon is much more consistent and equal. Therefore, the absorption is more effective. You get a higher rate of, for example, chlorine removal from a solid block than from a granular carbon. It is more expensive to manufacture, but you get a much longer lifespan, which at the end of the day is a benefit to you as a customer. Now, one important point in the Swisspro Carbo-Swiss is an additional ingredient called zeolite, which is equally embedded in the carbon block. Zeolite main target, main proposition is to remove heavy metals. Heavy metals, for example, can be lead or mercury. Just think of old lead pipes that release small particles of lead and are not healthy. So zeolite in the carbon removes also these heavy metals. Last but not least, look for the quality symbol. Swisspro carbon is tested and certified by NSF, which is the National Sanitary Foundation in the United States, which is one of the most recognized certification labs and institutions for water filters. So make sure that you buy the right quality. Now, how would you be able to say whether you have a granular or a carbon block? How can you distinguish? Very simple, by shaking. If you have a quality carbon block and you shake it, of course, no sound, it's all compact. However, if you use a granular carbon, by shaking it, you will simply hear that there is a sound, which means that is loose carbon, not of the same quality. If you have more questions, please send them to us. Thanks a lot for your attention.